hello to the listen. Oh gosh, Andrew.
No, keep going. We're gonna keep going. Just keep going with all this.
Andrew ruins
Angela was asking me a
everything.
question. She was trying to make sure that something she was doing wasn't too loud.
I know, and I was just trying to make it be a
Okay,
problem.
that's valid.
Oh, I know you were. I was just explaining to the rest of the other two. Whatever.
The rest of the other two.
Yes.
Hey there, distracted fans.
Hello
Hola.
to our 5 whole listeners. We're back. We're back.
And
We're
better
excited
than
to be
ever.
back.
Not really.
Oh.
It'll be about the same quality.
Exciting news.
We're
I have
about
officially gotten one of my coworkers to start listening.
Hey.
Anthony, I love you
Yay!
once you get to this episode. He's still, I think, in Snow White or like just finished Snow White, somewhere around there. But he
Last
did listen to the
episode,
intro first.
Did you
I
warn
mean,
him that
yeah.
we peaked in the first
Yes.
episode? Okay.
But he said he was
One of
enjoying
my-
it, so woo, good news.
Well, that's good. One of my friends is listening, and I was horrified when I found out that he was. He was like,
Ah!
no way. I heard y'all's podcast, and I was like, that I hate that you did. So, hi, Nathan.
When you
If
get to
you're
this
listening.
episode,
Hi,
we adore
Nathan.
you. We adore you, Nathan.
I think we've already established that one of my friends listens to it.
Who?
Your
Amanda.
friends.
Many of your friends.
I don't know who Amanda is. Never
The
heard
one
of her.
that's
I
in
But
the
my
letter?
digress.
Oh, okay.
Let's start the intro. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Distracted Quartet of Chaos. We are the
Woo!
Quartet of Chaos. This is the Distracted Podcast. How many times can I say our title in an intro before I figure out what to say next?
I've got
going
money
for
on
a
3
new
more.
record.
We are going through all the Walt Disney Animation Studio feature films in order of release date. If this is your first time listening in to us. So we are on episode number 10. This is the 10th animated film. And that is Melody Time. We are on the next to last package film from the 1940s. Praise. We're almost done.
Yay!
So, we're going to talk about Melody Time. Hopefully, we won't have to talk too long about it because there's not much to talk about. But, before we get into it, let me introduce the Quartet of Chaos. As always, I am your hopefully humble host. I am Aaron, the third of the 4 of us. Because if you haven't listened to us before, the 4 of us that are in this podcast, we're siblings. We all grew up together on Disney. And I am the third born. And I am Little Toot.
Ha!
Because he's a
Toot.
troublemaker, and boy, was I the scamp as a child.
That I
So,
will agree
That
with
is an
that. You were
understatement.
quite the scamp.
Yes, and then let's do Abby next. Abby is the youngest of the 4 of us, the only girl, and she is Bumble from Bumble Boogie, the cute little bee.
Heck yeah.
Oh, the bee.
Oh, what? Okay, yeah. That was.
It's-
I
we're
forgot
recording-
all about Bumble Boogie.
We're recording this like
a week later than we were supposed to, so we kind of forgot all
Yeah.
about it by now.
I'm gonna go
Yeah.
ahead and tip my hand. I don't think I would have remembered Bumble Boogie either way.
There you go. Next, we have the second born of the 4 of us is Adam, and he is our Johnny Appleseed this week.
Ooh.
I'll take it.
And then the eldest of the 4 of us, our firstborn, is Andrew, and he is our Pecos Bill. He is our wild, screaming, guns a-blazing, the H
I'm the
in
cowboy.
ADHD.
The
Pecos
H
Bill.
in ADHD.
He
That's
is
funny.
our Pecos Bill.
Truer words have never been spoken.
Precisely. So, we are the Quartet of Chaos. Thank you guys for joining in with me on yet another package film.
And I can't wait to talk about this whole package film that we're talking about. It's
I
annoying
know,
film.
it's so good.
Oh, you betcha.
Oh, you betcha.
So, before we jump into the film, I'm going to do as I always do and share some fun facts and snazzy stats with you guys. Yay. So this is Melody Time. Melody Time was released on May 27th of 1948, which is Andrew's birthday.
That's
Two birthdays we've had, right?
Yes, because Fantasia was on Adam's birthday.
That is
so
wild. We got.
I wonder if we'll ever have a birthday release date.
Maybe one
Probably
day.
not.
Probably.
No.
Disney didn't typically
I guarantee.
release
With how
movies
many
in
movies
March
we've
and
got,
April.
there'll be one. There'll be one.
Well, Disney typically did their movie releases at the beginning of the summer, the end of the summer, Thanksgiving, or Christmas.
Fair.
So I doubt March and April birthdays will have a release date, but you never know. It could happen. Melody Time is 75-minute run time, so not the longest movie ever. The budget was $1.5 million, and the box office brought in $2.5 million. So they didn't even double what they spent, but that's not terrible for a Pecos
that's
film to
still a
bring in.
profit.
Modest.
It is. They made a profit.
Money is money.
Money is.
Yeah, they made a profit, so we will absolutely call that a success. Not a theatrical success, because it didn't make 3 times what it spent. But anyways, I digress. As we continue on in our stats, we have directors returning for the 3rd time. Clyde Geronimi. Hamilton Lusk and Jack Kinney are both back as directors. They've both directed many a Disney movie.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, our 4th and final director is Wilfred Jackson. He has come back.
Hey, Wilfred
Chernabog
Jackson
has returned. And our producer is none other than Walt Disney, of course. Whatever. Music was by Elliot Daniel, Paul J. Smith, and Ken Darby. And y'all may recognize that name. Ken Darby was, I believe he had his own chorus. I think it was the Ken Darby Singers that sang a song in one of... I think it was... Let me check my notes. I think it was Make Mine Music.
I think that's
that we had the Ken Darby Singers group. Yeah, the Ken Darby Singers group did the Blue Bayou segment. And Ken Darby was one of the guys that did the music for this one. So.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
There's your little connection. And that is it for our crew, but now we can jump into the cast. So, we have a lot of big name musicians from this time period, from the late 40s, because one fun fact I have is that similar to Make Mine Music, Melody Time is a popular music version of Fantasia. So it is kind of the same concept of Fantasia, but with popular, more modern music from that time period.
Okay. Aaron,
so
am I remembering
yes.
correctly that the Andrews sisters were in this one again? They came back for this?
Yes, sir, you are. The
Okay.
Andrews sisters were the singers for the Little Toot segment.
That's right, Little Toot.
Yes. We have Roy Rogers, who was the narrator in Pecos Bill. He is the biggest Western star in history. He's known as the King of Cowboys. And he was...
But he's not Clint Eastwood.
No, I know. But
Sorry.
he was one of the founding members of the Sons of the Pioneers singing group. And they were a super famous Western singing group. They were also in here. They were all the guys that sang Pecos Bill.
Okay, cool.
Sat around the campfire.
Mm-hmm. And then another member of the Sons of the Pioneers singing group that was in this is Bob Nolan. And I think he's one of them that had a solo. But he was a pretty famous actor as well. And he sang with that group. And then next to Roy Rogers was his trusty horse, Trigger, who is a famous actor horse. He was Roy Rogers' horse in all of his Western movies.
I
with him.
couldn't
That's
tell
awesome.
if that horse was an animatronic in certain scenes.
I also thought it was animatronic, but when I did my research, I saw his name is Trigger, and that's pretty fun.
That's actually really cool.
That's a talented horse
Self-control.
right there. And then we have Dennis Day, and that name sounded really familiar to me, but in my research, I didn't see anything that I recognized in his list of...
The only thing I can think is Charlie Day,
Think
so
so.
I'm not going to be that.
Well, he was the narrator and the singer and all the characters in the Johnny Appleseed segment.
Okay.
Okay.
He was on the Jack Benny program for a really long time, which was a big TV show in the 40s, I believe, if I read correctly. And he was just a big time singer actor at that period. And then we have Fred Waring and his Pennsylvanians, and the four of us. This kind of goes into memories, but not really. Mm-hmm. Fred Waring is the first CD we would listen to every year on Christmas morning.
Mm-hmm.
And I always knew that name, but I didn't ever put that together until I did my research. But that was Fred Waring and his group, the Pennsylvanians. Okay. They sang in the Trees segment.
I don't remember that segment.
Oh,
It's
yes,
just
the
the trees.
It like shows the different like weather, different weathers.
There's a reason you don't
Like,
remember it, Adam, because it wasn't.
It was like
enticing,
pretty art, like of all the leaves flowing.
I think I vaguely remember it.
But Fred Waring was known as America's singing master. He had his own show, The Fred Waring Show. He recorded with big-name artists of the time like Frank Sinatra and Bing Crosby.
Oh,
And he
wow.
also financed the first electric blender, which is now known as the Waring blender.
Cool.
Okay.
So, Fred Waring, big guy. And then we have Freddie Martin, who was the composer for the Bumble Boogie segment. He was a big-name musician at the time. I saw a lot of credits in his musical career, but nothing that warranted bringing up. But he was a big-name musician at the time. And then the organist in the Blame It on the Samba segment, the lady that was playing the organ, her name is Ethel Smith, and she was a very famous recording organist at the time. She did a lot of famous stuff. I know, I wouldn't have believed that that's an actual thing, but there you go.
I maybe just no, continue.
We also didn't know that a radio ventriloquist was a thing.
You know, you learn a lot of stuff when you go through the
Why
package films.
did you bring that back up?
What,
You
are you
learn a lot of
trying
stuff.
to inflict the greatest rage I've ever had in this podcast again?
Adam already made his gripes known about the radio ventriloquism, and I want to leave
You mean
that
voice
behind.
actors? I'm good. It's fine.
Anyways, next credit is Frances Langford, who was a singer and an actress during the golden age of radio, the big band era, all of the the large era where radio was it in the 40s and 50s. And she was the singer for the Once Upon a Wintertime segment, the first one. And she was actually called
right.
G.I. Nightingale because she did World War II entertainment touring with Bob Hope to entertain the soldiers in World War II. Kind of like
Cool.
you see in White Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you have Buddy Clark, who was a big band singer at the time, also a big part of the big band era, the golden age of radio, all that. And he was the narrator and singer. He was the narrator for the whole movie, and he sang the beginning song, Melody Time.
Ah, okay.
And then we have the Dining Sisters, who, from what I gathered in my research, were just a less known, less exciting Andrews Sisters. They were the singers for the Blame It on the Samba segment. They sang that song. But they did... They were very open about the fact that they knew they wouldn't be as big as the Andrews Sisters, at least in what I read. And they did songs to kind of be callbacks to the Andrews Sisters. So one of the big songs the Andrews Sisters did was called Don't Sit Under the Apple Tree. With anyone else but me. Anyone else but me. Anyways, and the Dining Sisters did a song that said Cutting Down the Apple Tree or something like that. Like it was kind of a reference and like a playback to the Andrew Sisters song. So
That's actually really cool.
that was a pretty interesting little group there of sisters that I had never heard of. And then two more people from the live action Pecos Bill segment was Luana Patton, who was Miss Birthday Party herself.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's why she instilled such rage in me.
Yeah, and then the boy that was with her is Bobby Driscoll, and I, unfortunately,
I've
have
heard
some
that name.
hashtag sad news bears stories to share with you.
Oh boy.
And it is about the life of Bobby Driscoll, that little boy. Bobby is best known as the voice of Peter Pan.
Oh,
So-
no.
So we are going to be able to speak of him again, but I'm going to go ahead and talk about his life.
I've
because
heard
it's-
about this crap.
It's very tragic.
I
So
am not, so I'm
Bobby Driscoll was in a lot as a child. He, of course, was in this. He was in Song of the South. He was in the original Treasure Island that Disney did, the very first live-action Treasure Island, as Jim Hawkins. He was Peter Pan. He did a lot of child acting for Disney. But once he hit teenage age, where, of course, you go through puberty and you start to change,
Right.
Disney dropped him because he didn't have the boyish charm anymore they said that he really only had he was only suited for bully roles, and they didn't want him for that because of all the roles he played as the charming, lovable boy actor, so they dropped him. And he ended up getting addicted to narcotics and alcohol. And when he was either 30 or 31, his body was found in an abandoned building in New York.
Oh gosh.
And the people that found his body didn't know that it was Bobby Driscoll, and he is buried in a cemetery in New York that is known for homeless people and people that don't have families, where people who they don't know who they are get buried there, people that lived on the streets and stuff.
So it's
And then years later, people figured out that was him, and so now they know. But that is the tragic story of Bobby Driscoll.
That
It's
is
The voice of Peter Pan
theorized.
died at only 31.
So if you've watched the
Chippendale Rescue Rangers.
I know. I
Rangers,
thought about that
that
with the.
a lot
Sweet
of people
Pea.
think that was kind of a nod. That was a nod to that.
I mean, it makes sense to me.
A little bit.
That's sad though.
Yeah, so that is the sad life of Bobby Driscoll.
Very sad. Do not care for that.
Melody Time was never re-released in theaters.
Not surprised. It's one of those. I
Although-
guess it's fun, but.
Have any of the package films been re-released?
Some of them. Most of, if not all of the shorts in Melody Time were each released individually throughout history, though.
Okay.
Like re-released as their own individual shorts.
Oh,
That's
chewing.
what
That's
we were
fine.
chewing.
Yeah, probably.
He's taking a bite like they'll
This
talk
is
about
why you
this.
don't eat and podcast at the same time.
He's just gonna have to do a lot of editing.
Look, I'm hungry. It is
Leave
supper
it in.
time.
Leave it in.
And that concludes... Oh, no, I do have a fun fact. Duh, Aaron. So, to wrap up fun facts and snazzy stats, I'm going to talk about the representation in the theme parks, because
Yes.
always. So, the only...
That you did the research right before we started.
Okay, but I knew about it. I just wanted to double check to make sure there weren't any small things I missed. So, the main thing for Melody Time is a restaurant
I
in
know.
Frontierland. What?
It's Pecos Bill.
It is the Pecos Bill Tall Tale Inn and Cafe.
Hmm.
There's a sign outside of the cafe that has Pecos Bill on it. I believe there's somewhere in the restaurant there's a glass box with gloves and a letter that says, "To Billy, my love, from Slewfoot Sue," or something like that.
Oh, cool.
So obviously because of Frontierland being cowboy themed and western themed, there's a lot of need for Pecos Bill. He fits because he is Disney's
Right.
One of the, I guess, the first cowboy, unless you count the 5 seconds you see Goofy as a cowboy before he's turned into a gaucho. But
Yeah. Is that in both Disney World and Disneyland?
I'm not sure. As far as I'm aware, it's probably in most Disney parks. Any Disney park that has a Frontierland, I would have to assume it's there.
I would assume, yeah. I know for sure it's in Disney World. I just wasn't sure how many others
Yeah.
it might be in.
And that is it. I think I saw something about some mural in one of the resorts that had something about the score from Melody Time on it.
I
But
thought
I
I
didn't
remembered
feel like-
something about Johnny Appleseed being in the parks somewhere, but I don't remember.
I didn't research very much. What is it that I always say? Aaron doesn't do enough research. I don't know. I don't
Something
research
like
enough,
that.
Whatever. So that concludes fun facts and snazzy stats.
All right, so that was our fun facts and snazzy stats.
There you go.
Now on to, what was it, childhood memories?
Childhood memories. So, as we've said, for every package film thus far, we did not own this. I don't think any of the shorts in this were in any kind of trailers or I don't know
I
that
had
any
never
four of
seen
us-
any of these before.
I
Yeah.
have,
These.
and I don't know where. Pecos
What is
Bill
it
is
you
in my
remember?
core memories. I don't know how, I don't know why, but the I remember as it was playing. I remember that. I think I've seen that. But where whatever her name was, where she had like the spring bottom thing and goes bling on it, is burned into my skull. I have always remembered that and be like, what is that? What was that I saw that one time? I don't know where, I don't know when. I have seen at least that, and then I want to say one or two other shorts. I'm like, I think I've seen this before.
Little Toot seemed kind of familiar to me.
Little Toot was in the sing-along.
Was it?
It was
No.
not the whole. Hold on, not the whole
Okay.
thing. The opening shot of him just kind of floating back and forth was in either one of the water ones or in like the Casey Jr. or something.
Oh, I think it was in the Under the
Probably
Sea
one of the
one, and
water
when
ones.
there was
Sailing,
Yes,
over
that.
the
Probably.
because there was a bunch of clips of just from a
No,
bunch
we
of
need to go
different
through
and
Disney
watch
shorts that
those.
was on the
We do.
on
We do.
the
But
water
yes,
or whatever.
it was-
I think
I saw
I
that-
remember reading a children's book version of Little Toot one time
It was
because I remember I
Little Toot.
recognized it, but I had never seen it. I knew I hadn't seen the short, but I recognized
For
the
me,
story.
The song that Johnny Appleseed sang was really familiar. When he was like
The Lord is good to me.
and so I think
The Lord.
or just it sounded very familiar.
I don't know. But yeah, none of us really have super big memories. We just obviously all have random seeds of I know that from somewhere. But that kind of covers it. We don't Melody Time was never in our repertoire of Disney. So, with memories being oh so done, we'll go ahead and jump into our first impressions of Melody Time. Adam, give me your first impressions.
It was fine. Like I enjoyed it. I thought it was perfectly good throughout, like average throughout. There was a lot
Better than Fun and Fancy Free?
That is some high praise.
much better than Fun and Fancy Free. A lot of parts that I'm like, this is kind of dumb. Either was like, this is just cute. It was either really cute or just kind of inoffensive. I think there were 2 or 3 segments that I'm like, I actually had a problem with. But other than that, no, I enjoyed it.
Well, it's very much cut from the same cloth as Make Mine Music, and you expressed last time that you really enjoyed Make Mine Music.
And I think also going into it, knowing to expect that, I enjoyed it more because it wasn't, all right, cool, let's see some stories. I'm like, I know what this is. But even then, I think even if it was a lot of, for lack of a better word, music videos, I still think a lot of them had more story than any package film before.
Yeah. Andrew?
I thoroughly enjoyed this. In my opinion, this is the best package film we've seen so far. I think this is better than Saludos Amigos, and that one was, I think, very, very good. This is, like we've said, in the same vein as Make Mine Music. The thing is, there was only one short in this one that actually bored me to the point where I almost quit paying attention. That bored me enough that I forgot it existed, which was the trees
Yeah.
one. Other than that, the rest of them were
You
fun.
mean you don't love watching trees?
Not always.
I think I expressed my distaste for Fantasia, yes?
But no, like the rest of it was super cute. Every short, while set to music and was trying to do a Fantasia thing, still had like a story to go with it for the most part, or was entertaining visually enough that it didn't need one, like Bumble Boogie.
I would like to make a quick apology. My dog is whining, so
I was
I've said
about
this
to
at the
say,
beginning of
is this
most
the point?
episodes. Prerequisite apology. I have a dog and 2 cats that are here. He goes. They're all very vocal animals. The cats are sometimes
Especially
vocal,
the
but a
dog.
lot of times you'll hear their bell collars. So I'm not gonna say if, when you hear my dog whining and complaining because he's in his crate because I'm trying to record a podcast, or if you hear the cats jingling their bell collars, just ignore it like I'm trying to do because there's nothing I can do about it. So might be. Abby, give me your first impressions of Melody Time.
I thoroughly enjoyed it as well. This probably is also one of my favorites. I mean, it could always be better just because it's a package film. But even there were a few of the shorts that I wasn't crazy about, but even those, like, they still captured my attention much more than a lot of the previous stuff that we've watched. And there wasn't really much of an acid trip moment. There wasn't much of like I have been watching this for too long. It was really well paced, and I really liked it.
Yes, the pacing is what I was going to bring up. Because at first, when Andrew said Saludos Amigos is not as good as this one, I was like, I don't know, because I was thinking of the few shorts that we've all mentioned that are slower, that aren't as good as some of the other ones in the movie. But when you said the word pacing, I was like, yes, Andrew's correct. It is better than Saludos Amigos, because even though not all the shorts are awesome, like in Saludos Amigos, the pacing is so well done. And we went into this one knowing what to expect. So it wasn't like, I have to watch 7 shorts. Like, it worked, and the pacing felt correct. None of the ones that were kind of slower or not as exciting were too long. I didn't think any of them were too long.
I will
Right.
disagree with that, I think.
Shocker.
Most, I will say the slower ones, I agree, they got out of the way quick enough that it's like, cool, we're good. I do think some of them did last a little too long,
Okay.
but I think there is maybe one of them that I'm like, this is still going. But
Right.
overall,
But yeah, like,
I think it was good.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, going back to Saludos Amigos, while all 4 of the shorts in Saludos Amigos were fantastic, they were all broken up by some live action segments explaining the different stuff with the Good Neighbor program that kind of really slowed it down and messed the pacing up.
Yeah.
There's a very fine line between, this is really entertaining, and then boom, we can cut it off now, or let's just see how long we can drag this out, and to the point where it no longer becomes enjoyable.
Yeah.
So it was. I think it had it right sometimes, and it didn't others. That the way I worded that did not.
No, I
sound
get what you're
good, but
Yeah, but the sentiment was there. You guys, I'm excited. We're about to cover a package film that none of us actually hate. This is new ground.
What is this?
This is momentous for us. So let's go ahead and jump into 1948's Melody Time. So you open up with the title song Melody Time, sung by Buddy Clark, and I liked the song. I couldn't tell you how it goes. I don't remember it, but I remember it was nice.
It was completely forgettable to me, so...
But it was pretty good. And then we jumped right in. No, it felt really quick, the intro. We jumped right into the first segment.
that's something I really liked about it was the intros didn't take forever. They just said, "Hey, this is what's next," and then boom, it happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
It just like
I
painted
really
an
liked
intro
that.
card and then went right
It
into
felt
it.
was
like
really
a Looney
cool,
Tunes
honestly.
opening in the best way
Yeah.
possible, where
Yeah.
it was just,
I
hey,
agree.
boom, here's all the legal stuff we have to get out of the way, a little bit quick, a little bit fast, we're just going to keep going, and short.
I feel like they
exactly.
learned from Make Mine Music and Fun and Fancy Free the best way to do segues and in between moments, and it worked. It really worked for me. So the first segment is Once Upon a Winter Time, which Once Upon a Winter Time was actually released as a part of a Christmas Disney VHS that had, it was comprised of a bunch of Christmas shorts, like Pluto's Christmas Tree.
Okay.
I think
That's the
it
one with
may
Chip
have
and
had
Dale,
Mickey's
right?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
The one that's on the Snowden at the House of Mouse. That's, or at least that's where we know it from.
Yeah,
But-
where they're living in the tree and they take it back and then hijinks ensue.
Yeah.
Right.
Probably the
Yes.
snowball fight, too.
Ah, the snowball fight. Yeah.
Regardless.
I think it may have had the one. I don't know. It had some of the really well known Christmas ones, but it also had Once Upon a Winter Time on it,
Nice.
Interesting.
which isn't a Christmas short, but because it's snowy,
right.
It might
it
as
fit.
well be.
It fit. So that was one of. I think that may have been one of the only times that this short was re-released, but that was a well-known VHS. A lot of people grew up with the Disney Christmas shorts, so.
Okay.
I'll be honest, I did not care for this one that much.
At first, I didn't like it, but the farther into it we got, the better I felt like it got. So
I
let
am
me
in
give
the
a quick
exact
rundown
same-
of
Go
the
ahead.
plot. So I just want to kind of give all of our listeners a basis of what the plot of this short is. So there's a couple, Jenny and Joe, who go ice skating.
I want to point out, Jenny does not have a nose.
She only has a nose from profile.
And we're not gonna
And
make fun of her.
Joe tries to show off and be a good ice skater, and Jenny is a total drama queen. She was so getting on my nerves. I'm sorry, I had to get that out. She's so irritating.
Also, I
But
love
then-
how everything that was happening was mirrored by the two rabbits.
Yes, you had the couple rabbits that were doing kind of the same things, and Jenny didn't like him showing off, so he tried to apologize, but then there was some stuff with thin ice, and the ice breaks apart, and Jenny ends up adrift down the river towards a waterfall, and then Joe saves her, and then they're magically in love again, and everything's
No,
great.
he doesn't.
The deer.
The
thing.
horses.
rabbits?
The horses,
Oh, the horses.
saved her
The
and made it
horses?
look like he
They
saved her
are
because
the-
he was unconscious.
You're right. You're
the
right.
horses were the freakiest things.
Abby said
They
they looked like
look
giraffes.
like
They
giraffes.
they looked like they were supposed to be in a in a headless horseman type thing. Like
They were-
they looked
They felt out of
weird.
place.
They looked
felt
very
out of place
strange.
for the animation style. But sorry, Adam, you were gonna say something and I kind of cut you off. I just wanted to give.
You're
a
good.
quick
I was
rundown.
pretty much
Go
saying
for it.
I'm nearly the same boat as you. At first it started, I'm like, all right, cool, and then the longer they skated, I'm like, I don't care about this. But then the more it went on, it was like, this is just cute. Y'all are just cute.
Yeah.
This is just cute.
Jenny got on my nerves. She was such a drama queen.
I think that's why it bothered me so much. Was just like,
I'm gonna be real.
This is
She
so
wasn't that bad.
terrible.
She wasn't that bad.
But I have to say about Jenny, she's our pouty princess because when she was floating down that river, she grabbed either side of the ice and she prepared for death. She was ready to go. over
She
that
was
waterfall.
ready to accept it on her own terms.
no, I think she like dramatically passed out at one point on the.
I think
ice.
so. I think she did pass out, but
I believe.
towards
I
the
think
end,
he
right
did
before she got
too.
saved. Oh, he did. But right before
It's
she
a
got
collective
saved, she
pouty
was holding
princess.
on to the ice and she was preparing for death.
She was
that
like,
is-
this is it.
I looked at that and I thought, you go, girl. You be pouty.
Also, that rabbit, the female rabbit, was.
She was ugly.
She was ugly. That's what I'm saying.
But do
Sorry, I'm just being critical of this one. I guess I'm.
You're
taking
good.
that
You're
please.
allowed to. You're
Just for the one short. I don't like this one.
did any of y'all have anything else you want to say about Once Upon a Winter Time before we jump on?
I think the skating went on a little too long.
I thought it was cute.
I
I
do
had-
think.
Sorry, I was gonna say I enjoyed it. I thought the song was pretty catchy. I thought it was a good song that went with it. Overall, I thought it was a really good short. No super high praises for it, but no like real criticisms
Mhm.
either.
I think the song was one of the more forgettable in the whole film.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
and I agree with Abby that I think the skating went on too long. It's not like my favorite, but I'm like overall, I think net positive. It was inoffensive. It was kind of cute.
Saying it didn't
Yeah.
do anything wrong. It just bored me.
That's fair. I got that with a couple others. So
Yeah. Well, then we will jump on into the second short, which is Bumble Boogie. And Adam mentioned it being forgettable, but I have to strongly disagree, Adam. I thought this was an
loved
incredible
this
segment.
one.
I loved
I
it.
thought this Fantasia so good.
This absolutely, I'm going to veto anything
Adam's
y'all could
just
possibly
shrieking down in
say.
his chair.
I'm going to veto Adam before he can say anything and say, this made the movie Fantasia better than Fantasia.
if Fantasia's better than Fantasia, let me make my case.
Okay, go for it.
I don't think it did it well. Because when I hear that music, I think anxiety. I think this is something that I need to be on the edge of my seat, like actively terrified. And first, I don't know what it is. I don't think it did it good enough. I felt like it was kind of like I was never afraid for the bee, I guess.
That's fair.
I'm having trouble putting my thought in the words.
I get what you're saying,
and I
but
think
like,
because everything just kind of came out of nowhere. It's like, all right, cool. Had I seen all these things coming at him or whatever, I think it would have worked better. But overall, I'm like, I didn't think this caught the vibe too well.
I get what you're saying. It's definitely one of the more like high anxious songs, and so therefore you want to see a situation where it's, you know, kind of matching that same energy. But I thought they made it like a more jazzy version.
They did.
also.
So,
They
for
absolutely
our
did.
listeners, if you've never seen Melody Time, which I wouldn't blame you if you hadn't, because it's a package film, but Bumble Boogie is about this bee named Bumble who is being chased by music, whether it's piano keys a lot of the time, but sometimes it's music notes, and it is to the tune of Flight of the Bumblebee, which, of course, if you've never heard it, it's a super famous classical piece, but it was kind of like a jazz interpretation of it, and I really enjoyed the jazz interpretation of it.
I thought the
But
arrangement was good. I thought the arrangement was very good. It was all the animation for me.
Okay.
That was where my problems lie.
I have a really
That's
hard
fair.
time understanding that, Adam, because I thought the animation was incredible. Like, the animation style was beautiful, and I just thought
the
it
bee
was
really
awesome.
cute.
I thought it was awesome seeing this bee trying
liked
to
it.
avoid death by piano keys. Like, I thought it was great.
I think what would have worked for me better was if there was consistency. Something that wasn't the dream sequence from Bongo the Bear. Had he been in an actual piano trying to avoid the actual hammers going down, I think it would have been like top of the charts for me.
I get what you're saying. So it's like it would have been a lot more effective if it was him in the real world avoiding like all these musical instruments, all this stuff, instead of lights
flowers.
and animation.
Had he
coming
been
at
in
it.
a actual like orchestra and then avoiding drumsticks, trying to avoid trombones hitting him, like the
Okay, that
same
would've been really cool to watch.
the same thing, but without just stuff coming out of the ether. And
Or
as soon
flowers
as it,
made of piano keys or whatever.
like, which is a great visual, but
Yeah.
I don't. I think they missed the landing there.
I thought it was beautiful and very entertaining, but I get what you're saying. I entirely get it.
Yeah,
Well, I respect your
definitely-
opinion.
Yeah.
I liked it.
That would be
Yeah,
really fun
I
to
did
watch
too.
if that-
But I
thought
absolutely
it was
get where you're coming
wonderful.
from.
And you're entitled to your opinion, so I'm not
Oh, I'm
going to
aware.
fight you on
We're
it.
trying.
You're allowed to be wrong. It's fine.
Don't you worry, wet blanket. I will find something to wet blanket about in every movie.
We are practicing our wet blanket love.
Yes.
Uh.
Yes, we are. So I guess we can go ahead and jump into the next segment, which this was the second longest segment, The Legend of Johnny Appleseed. And I guess just a quick rundown before we really start talking about it. This is about Johnny Appleseed. He was just this regular old guy in New America, and his job was taking care of apple trees, planting new trees, harvesting the apples.
Was he he
And-
was a real life person that the legend is based off of, right?
Yes.
Yes, we returned to Aaron, didn't do enough research. When I watched the movie, I meant to look it up because it said that it was based on a true story that is based on the real character of Johnny Appleseed. But
I'm
I've
not
never
sure
known
how
much about
accurate
him.
The legend
I
is to
haven't
the
either.
actual
Obviously,
life.
I think it is somebody that basically planted trees around America, but I don't think it was nearly as this big
Well,
crusade or anything.
Well, no, I didn't expect that, but just somebody that wore like a pot on his head and
That
planted
that
apple
I don't
seeds
even
or
know
whatever.
about. That could be
I don't know.
even
Yeah,
just
I meant to research it, but I just forgot to. But
He turned his
So,
frying pan into a drying
I will
pan.
leave. I will leave.
What?
she said he turned his frying pan into a drying pan.
No, I heard that.
Oh, have you never heard
Did you
that?
not get it?
No.
No.
Okay. It's from one of the Pokemon movies. It starts raining
Oh,
and Brock has
yes.
a frying pan over his
He
head. He
puts
goes,
it
I'm
over
turning
his head
my
like an
frying
umbrella."
pan into a drying pan.
As soon as you said Pokemon, it came flooding back into my brain. Oh my
Boomerang.
god!
It's all coming back.
Oh.
Oh,
So
my gosh.
Johnny Appleseed is about the man, Johnny, who is an apple caretaker, and he sees the pioneers heading westward to explore and create more of America. And an angel comes to Johnny.
Pioneer Angel.
A pioneer angel.
That was the most redneck angel
I loved it. I
thought
loved
it was
him so
wonderful.
much.
Oh my
He was
gosh.
fantastic.
Most
Trying to-
underrated Disney character ever. I want to see him on a Disney t-shirt.
I don't know.
Pioneer
He's no
Angel.
Timothy Q. Mouse, but
You're right,
fair.
Adam. You're right. But he comes, and Johnny was feeling disheartened because he wants to be a pioneer, but he thinks, all I've got are my apples. I can't be a pioneer. And the angel shows him this menagerie of apple dishes, all these different things you can make with apples. And
I personally love apples, so that was great.
all the dishes that they showed looked so good.
Uh-huh.
And so Johnny sets out to plant apple trees all across the land, all out westward. And the whole short is about Johnny planting apples and being just a great fellow,
And befriending the animals.
befriending animals, the skunk that they kept calling a cat.
Well, because skunks are called polecats.
Yeah.
That's
Um,
actually.
Yeah, they're called polecats, so I assume they were just calling it a cat, but then showing
I didn't know
stuff
that.
for visual. Yeah.
And then he gets old, and then he
And
dies. And he sees his
Straight
body
up
and is
dies.
talking to the angel. He said, "Wait, that's me." And the angel says, "That's your husky." He said, "Am I passed away?" And which was kind of cool to hear in a Disney short, them referring to death just that casually and like. And then it basically explained that clouds are not clouds, but they're orchards of apple trees in heaven that Johnny's been planting.
Which
love
is
that.
And I
super
love
cute.
that.
That's a
I thought
super
that was
cute
really
ending.
And that's Johnny Appleseed in a, I just almost said nutshell, but we'll say an apple shell. So,
That-
sorry, just go, Abby.
Okay, I want to go first. I loved this short so much. I genuinely really liked it. I thought it was very charming, and I liked Johnny. He was a solid character. I liked his motives and everything. I was very entertained by this short, and also I loved the song that he sang.
The
Yeah.
Lord is good to me.
And it was beautiful at the end whenever they said the
Although
clouds
he's-
aren't clouds but they're
I
apple
love that
trees.
so
And then
much.
I loved it. I love this short.
Every song in this short is an absolute banger.
Yes.
I thought there was gonna be one miss because first of all, like you said, whoever plays Johnny has a beautiful voice, great voice, just
Wasn't it? I think it was the same guy. The narrator did all the voices and the singing in this one.
killed it.
Yes, he did. It's Dennis Day.
Killed it. His opening song was
Absolutely.
great. His Pioneer song, amazing. I thought the only miss was gonna be the Angel song, just about there's apple this and apple that, apple this and that, and I'm like, I get it. There's apple until they started harmonizing, and that
Yes.
shit chills.
Oh, it was so good.
Oh my
It was so
gosh,
good.
it was
Beautiful.
so good.
I'm pretty sure the second they started harmonizing, me and Abby just looked at each other because she came over to the house and we watched it together, and we were like, "What?"
So good. Love that.
It was so good.
That angel
Also,
got
the angel was sending him out to
he has-
die. The
he
angel
has
was
3
sending him to his
uvulas.
death. He sent him out like, you don't need nothing but your apple seeds and the pot on your head. No.
Oh, and the Bible.
And the Bible. Oh, yes, and the Bible.
And the
I
holy
forget.
word.
Hashtag bread of life.
Okay,
Ah.
cool. You also need bread for your body. And then before
Adam,
one of you
That's
says,
what
before
the
one of you
apples are
says,
for.
they won't grow in time. Do you see what you drive me to? Because I was
things
that
literally
Adam
about to
gets upset
say,
about?
I was
Adam.
literally about to say before one of you guys says, well, what about the apple seeds? I'm like, they won't grow in time.
Well, he
Things that have
he-
driven Adam to insanity on our podcast: a whale's 3 uvulas and apple seeds that won't feed him in time.
Don't forget puppets.
and
Oh, and
radio
puppets.
ventriloquism.
And radio ventriloquism.
Voice
Excuse me.
acting.
Why do I feel like this? The new game, the new Disney loves crime, is how far can we drive Adam to the brink of insanity?
Adam, this is the whole purpose we brought you into this podcast.
You've been playing
It's
the
not
long
because you're our
con.
brother. Aaron and I had planned this from the beginning, man.
Oh my gosh.
I had no idea about this, but I'm happily obliging.
Okay, good.
I do
I
have to
do
make
have-
an Go ahead.
No, this is going to kind of change the subject for a while. So if you have anything else to say, go ahead.
I was just gonna ask if this is an unfortunate detour we have to take onto Racism Road.
That's exactly what I was about to say.
Mhm,
Actually.
That's
So
why I was
there
gonna
go.
let you go.
So it's kind of Racism Road. It's like Racism Road 0.5.
Right.
I'm gonna say it's Racism Road.
It's racism.
The real
road.
Racism Road will come in the last segment.
True.
Oh, it'll come
in
in
the
a
Pecos
lot.
Bill
Oh
segment.
wait. Maybe I'm thinking of different parts, but yeah, continue.
At one point, you see Johnny checking in on a village that was built around an orchard that he had
Which
planted.
I loved that scene, by the way, him checking in, seeing all the Apple products and
there was this
everything.
large feast of Apple products and Apple meals, and it was being shared by the pioneers and natives. And the natives didn't look as terribly caricatured as Disney has done.
Like in Peter Pan.
Peter Pan.
Or will
Yeah.
do.
That's what I was about to say. They're no Peter Pan, but they're no Pocahontas.
Yeah, it's like it's.
Because
I would still
Pocahontas
consider
has all
Racism
sorts
Road.
of issues, but Pocahontas' representation of Native Americans and the way that they're visually drawn is good and it's accurate. And
Yeah.
it's not so
Or at
these
least more.
these
these
were
Native
big-
Americans aren't as accurate, but they're not super like offensive. It's just that
it
they're,
is
they're
still
more red toned
stereotypical.
skin.
It is still stereotypical,
Yes.
which is like
It was stereotypical, but they weren't actively sabotaging.
Yeah, it was stereotypical
You know.
with the more red toned skin and the big feather
okay.
headdresses and stuff.
I will say I do have to ask one thing because I do not remember. Did they call them engines?
That
I
was
don't
in
think so. I don't
Pecos
think
Bill.
they mentioned.
Okay.
They called them
Pecos
engines in
Bill
Pecos
is
Bill.
where
Got it.
it got
That's
pretty bad.
which is why I say this is kind of like Racism Road 0.5 because it's not the best depiction, but it's really
But it's
inappropriate. in
I
Pecos Bill.
hate that the unit of measurement is it could be worse.
Right.
And will be worse.
But the sad truth is, it is going to be worse
I know.
when we get to Peter Pan.
And I'm gonna
Oh,
call back
so
to my
much
earlier
worse.
things of Racism Road, saying like something being worse later does not give it an excuse this time.
Oh yeah.
I still
no, it doesn't.
I still think this is one of the lesser offensive, but we still do. I agree. Have to call it out.
Which is why I
mean-
wanted to bring it up. It's not the most offensive depiction, but it is still a depiction that has not aged well.
Yeah, like it's not as offensive as it could be, but there's still like there's no reason that they should be depicted that way. Like there's no like it's just sad in general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That it's
Well, that's kind of all I have to say about Johnny Appleseed.
have
If y'all
one
have
more
anything else to
thing.
say, Go for it.
During the picnic scene, the squirrel was trying very hard and ended up stealing some of the food, which, in case we don't get to it later, Disney loves crime.
Loves crime.
for thievery.
You're right. I actually
Yes.
do have a Disney Loves Crime.
I hope
in
it's
the
better
next
than that
segment.
one, because that was a stretch.
is.
Like,
You know
also,
what?
the squirrel or chipmunk, which looked straight up like Chip and Dale.
Oh, it was very much Chip from Chip and Dale.
It
That's what
was
looked
Chip, but it was absolutely cute and hilarious. It
Yeah.
trying so hard to steal the food, and then it was like hot. And it was like ah.
and Adam, you know we've stretched Disney Loves Crime probably to the point where it can't be stretched anymore, so that's nothing.
I know, but I like
like.
to see the best ones I
They've
can
all been
get.
stretched, but so I guess we'll go ahead and wrap up Legend of Johnny Appleseed. I really enjoyed
10 out of
Johnny.
10.
I thought it was a wonderful short.
I thought it was very good.
Um,
I enjoyed it way more than I thought I would.
It was fantastic.
So our next short is the official halfway point of all the shorts. It is Little Toot.
I loved this one.
I love Little Toot. He's so cute, but he's also kind of mildly irritating. But it's fine.
He's mildly irritating in a way that the short acknowledges, and
Yeah.
I really respect that. Because I thought it was going to be very much, he's in the trouble, but oh, Little Toot, he's trying, don't you know? He's doing what he... It's like, no, he's kind of a problem.
I
We
feel like
acknowledge
Little
this.
Toot was
he got
the.
kicked to juvenile.
I feel like Little Toot was the first time they successfully recaptured the cuteness and I just had the word and I cannot think of it, but the
Disney
vibe,
charm.
the charm. Yes, thank you. Of Pedro the plane.
Yeah, boy!
Yeah.
They
I agree.
finally recaptured that gold and brought out Little Toot, and it's fantastic.
So, quick story about Little Toot. He is a little tugboat who works in a harbor, and his father, Big Toot, is a tugboat who pulls like big cruise ships and cruise liners and all sorts of really large ships
Barges
in and
and
out of the
whatnot.
harbor. Barges, that's the word. Thank you, Adam. And Little Toot wants to be helpful to his father, but he also wants to have fun. And more times than not, he chooses fun, and that causes trouble. He'll drive right in front of the big boats and scare them and
Splash
make
'em.
waves. And he got in trouble, and so then he kind of decided he wanted to help. So while his dad was tugging this big old cruise ship, he goes behind and starts pushing on the boat to help, not knowing that he pushes on the rudder,
The rudder.
which turns the ship. And this is our Disney Loves
I was
Crime,
about
because
to say,
Little
I
Toot levels
just-
a city block.
I just remembered this was the thing I watched and went, oh, I got
Mass
my Disney Love
property
crime.
damage.
That, not
He
even property
leveled a
damage.
city
There is
block for the cruise
people are
ship.
dead. I guarantee
Died
people are
in
dead.
this accident. Absolutely.
so
I want to
Disney
point
Loves
out
Crime.
real quick. I loved the very beginning of this when it looks like he's helping pull the big boat with his dad, and then he comes out from behind it and is pulling like 3 paper boats behind him. It was
Oh,
the
so
cutest
cute. I love that.
It
thing.
was so cute.
Adorable.
I had to make sure that got some love.
I
I
loved
also
that.
really like, like y'all mentioned earlier, where he's being a bit of a problem to everyone around
Well,
him.
yeah, he
and
leveled
they're
a
not-
dang city block.
even before that. I'm talking about like before that, where he's being a problem and not helping like he's trying to, and they acknowledge it. Just go to this side, do your own thing, and then he's like, "No, I'm gonna help. I'm gonna do good," and then he continues to mess up.
Yeah.
And it's not just like one little motivational speech.
Oh,
and then
he's
suddenly-
trying his best, and that's all that matters for him to succeed.
Yeah. I would like
Nope.
to make a quick clarification. I may have typecast myself as Little Toot, but I have never cleared a city block with a cruise ship. I would just like to.
Do we have proof
that
of
out
that? I don't know, Aaron. You seem like the type.
Okay.
Do we need to pull out the family albums again?
I think we
No.
do. You may be
March
here to
23rd,
enrage me. I'm
2002.
here to incriminate you.
I mean, Little Toot was thrown into the juvenile hall, essentially. He was
Essentially.
in chains. And they were just taking him out.
Bro, that was
And
the
so-
darkest.
They legitimately just kicked him out into the ocean.
Little Toot was chained and dragged out into the middle of the ocean, and he suffered gigantic storms. And let me tell you what, the Andrews sisters were very convincing with their singing because I could feel the impending doom of the storm. So good on them. And then Little Toot hears a distress call, which I don't know if y'all noticed, but in the distress call, it was they were doing an SOS call in the music.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There's an SOS pattern in there, which is a telegraph, SOS telegraph.
That Morse code.
Morse code. Thank you. I could not think
Like
of what
the
you.
beeping like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that was you could
3
hear
short,
the Morse
3
code
long,
of
3
SOS in the
short.
back.
Or 3 long, 3 short, 3 long.
And
each.
all the other tugboats tried to get to this ship that was stuck out in the storm, but they couldn't do it. And Little Toot rushes, and he's able to help the boat back safely into the harbor and saves the day. And finally,
And almost sinks.
almost sinks, yes, and finally is able to get his act together, and he starts actually helping his dad because he wants to be a big Toot someday.
Yeah, we got to
Prison
point out
changes you, man.
while when trying
prison changes you.
when
You're
trying
not
to
going back!
when trying to help his dad and causing a massive, city block destruction, he ends up getting his dad demoted from pulling these big boats to pulling the trash barge.
You're
You
right.
know, like he's pulling
You're
garbage
right.
and smelling bad and everything, and brought respect and honor back
Shame.
to his dad's name afterwards when he saved the big
when he
boat.
when he saves the ship, he brings honor back to his dad. I forgot about that. So that's the quick story of Little Toot.
It
I've
was
been holding
so
back the
cute.
entire time. I've been holding back the entire time. I'm so sorry. Toot.
All right,
Did
that's
you really
been
have to
this
wait till I was
episode.
taking a sip of my drink?
I didn't know you were. I'm talking. Don't drink.
I was kind of expecting that joke to come from Andrew, but it's not
Hey,
shocking.
I
to Natalie
saved
either.
those jokes for work. Thank you.
Oh,
That's
Love you,
fair.
Anthony.
I have no outlet like that.
He's a pirate.
He is a pirate.
I am a pirate.
So I guess we'll go ahead and wrap up Little Toot. There's not much else to say other than it's so precious.
It's cute.
10 out of 10.
So cute. I
Also,
love it.
Andrew sisters. You can't go wrong with them.
No.
Oh, they're so good. So talented.
Last time we heard them, they did the Johnny Fedora and Alice Bluebonnet,
Which was our favorite one of
the
them.
best one in that. Like you can't go wrong when you have the Andrew sisters. You just can't. So then we jump into one of the slowest segments, which is trees, and it's a poem. Oh my goodness, Aaron, why didn't you write it down? I literally read this on the Wikipedia page. It's based on a poem. I don't remember who wrote it. I don't remember when it was written, but it was a very famous poem about the tree and the strength of the tree and
Tolkien.
how it faces all sorts of weather and all sorts of stuff.
It must
And
have been.
was
It
a
must have been
musical
J.R.R.
retelling.
Tolkien.
No, it was a musical retelling of that poem with some. It was honestly the animation was really pretty
My
of the
comedy
trees
voice is here.
Yeah.
and yes, Adam, it is wasted of the trees changing in the weather and all sorts of stuff. I thought it was beautiful, but it was one of those that was kind of like I'm just looking at a tree, you know.
It was
I
very
actually
melody
really did
time.
like it.
Let
I
me
can
say,
see that,
it
yeah.
made me miss
This
two
was
silhouettes.
melody time. What, I don't understand what you're saying, Adam.
Do you mean
About
make my
what?
music?
This was
You said
melody
it was
time.
very...
Yes, I did mean make my music.
Okay, that's why I was like, what? I'm so
There was
confused.
collective
This
confusion.
was melody time.
I'm just
Okay.
ignoring you
Actually-
guys since you ignored my J.R.R. Tolkien joke, so, you know,
I didn't
whatever.
hear it. I
Oh,
didn't
when
hear it.
Aaron was saying he didn't know who the author was, but it was about the trees, how strong the trees were. I'm like, J.R.R. Tolkien.
I missed that.
The
Man. I would
validation
have left.
I needed. We can move on.
I actually really liked this one. I mean, yeah, it was more boring and forgettable than the others,
It was pretty though.
but the music was pretty and the animation was really pretty.
Did not.
I
know
was-
a
Liked
little
all
too
like
about
the
it.
different weather that it went through, the different seasons.
I was surprised at the length. When it ended, Abby and I both were expecting it to just be beginning the second half of it,
Yeah.
and then it was over.
I
and we
will
were like,
say,
oh.
I will say, it
I was
knew
pleasantly
it knew
surprised.
what it was and did not try to overextend that, and that's the only praise I can really give it. Other than that, I don't give it a little too.
Disney learns.
Like, Angela and I
Praise.
went into watching this expecting to have some boring ones, just waiting for it. We were surprised that it came this far in, and then we were like, oh, that actually wasn't even all that long. This was okay. And then there really weren't any other boring ones, so we were like, huh, okay.
It wasn't bad at all. So we'll go ahead and jump to the next one because there's not really much else to say about
No.
And it was a tree.
It was trees.
It was
it.
pretty.
It was a tree. So the next segment is the next to last short, and it is Blame It on the Samba. And it was kind of an odd one, but it was fun.
I was so scared that
I
we were
was-
gonna have another repeat of the Three Caballeros.
So-
literally, I'm so sorry. Go ahead, Aaron. I'll finish it later.
Yeah, let me just talk
Go
about
ahead, go ahead.
the short really quickly.
I'm
So
sorry. I
it
just saw
starts
Adam
off
getting
with
ready, and it scared me.
Donald Duck and Jose Carioca both return, and they are very gloomy, like sliding through life. And the Araquan bird.
I was about
sees
to
them.
ask if that was the Araquan bird.
It was
Why
the
do
Araquan
they have the
bird.
Araquan bird,
I
but
don't
not
know. Not Panchito.
I
don't
know.
Because I think these were those were all three from that was from Three Caballeros. Never mind. Retract my statement.
Maybe they were sad because Panchito was gone.
That's exactly what it was.
I don't know.
Pistoles.
That's what it was. You can't change my mind. Okay,
Yeah.
continue.
So the Araquan bird tries to cheer them up, and he cheers them up by getting them to samba, because the samba can cure anything. And they start dancing through all sorts of stuff, showing the different styles of samba dancing, and then they dance on top of an organ while Miss Ethel Smith is playing the organ, and she's impressive. Let me
She
just say real
killed
quick.
it.
Was
The
she the one
speed at
from
which-
Three Caballeros? Was
No.
she the cookie lady that was Carmen Miranda's
No.
sister? No? Okay.
No. But
I thought I remembered
the
her in
speed
one of
at
them.
which her fingers moved across the organ keys was crazy. And she was actually playing the organ, because some people might say, well, it was probably just staged. It was not. You could tell she was actually playing the organ if you look closely. And they end up getting cheered up, and then that's kind of it. I was really concerned there was going to be a psychedelic drug trip section, and they towed the line and almost did, but then they kind of backed off.
I was afraid Donald was going to go crazy over the lady, but
Me
he did not.
too.
And I
Okay,
was
Adam,
so
go
thankful.
for it.
Literally, okay. Starts off fine. I see the bird, which name I cannot remember, and I'm like, oh, you're
Araquan.
back, I guess. And up to that point, him like playing with their colors, dancing around, fun, great. She popped on screen, and audibly, I went, no, she's back.
Well, it's not the same lady.
It's not the same lady. It looks
She was
like her.
dressed very similar.
She was
It
dressed
looked like
very
her.
similarly. Like you said, she was very good on the organ. They played a lot of live action and animation together, and I was like, no, please, no, and then it ended. So it's fine, but this, I couldn't enjoy it because the
Gave
entire
you
time
some
I was like,
anxiety.
no.
You need to go back and watch it again, knowing that it's not going to do
I
that. So
probably,
you can just enjoy it.
yeah, maybe.
I think I would enjoy it a lot more now because I know that I wouldn't have to induce drug trip psychedelia like
Or
Donald
Papa.
being.
Exactly,
Yeah.
Donald being problematic.
he didn't seem to care, and I was like, this is uncharacteristic. Okay, Donald.
Yeah, it's like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, you're actually becoming
After-
faithful.
After almost starving and having to fight a giant, I guess it changes you.
Yeah, I guess near-death experiences with a giant will change a person.
I was gonna try to. I was
Good
about to
one,
make a
Andy.
bit like in the Donald Duck voice, being like, you know, it really makes you rethink your priorities. But I'm like, I'm not gonna
You can't do the Donald Duck voice.
the entire time because it would not come out right and it would just be annoying.
Yeah, let's not do that.
Okay.
But that's Blame It on the Samba. I actually was expecting to hate it, but I enjoyed it. I love a good samba beat. The rhythm and the beat and the tempo of a samba is just fun for me.
It's very
Infectious.
yes.
Yeah.
I can't think of words
enjoyed
today. I think those several months of hospital stay really messed with my brain last year.
Yeah, like it wasn't
Um,
bad.
I'm sorry, Adam. I'm gonna cut you off because my wife needs us to pause. So we're gonna pause. Okay, we can unpause now. We're gonna go to the final segment because I don't have anything else to say. I'm blaming it on the samba unless you guys do. And that final segment is Pecos Bill. And so you start with live action, which was kind of jarring. I was not expecting that.
Did not care for
Yeah.
the story.
I was
I
was
didn't
terrified it was gonna be something similar to the puppets.
It wasn't fun, but it was no fun and fancy free. So
Yeah,
I thought
Yeah,
this,
did not
good.
care
this
for it.
live action segment went on too long.
Oh my
This
gosh,
is
it
like
went
the-
on too long.
One of the
Me
only
too.
parts of this film where I felt like, okay, this is dragging, was this. Because the rest of the
Yeah.
short, like once it got to the animation and everything, I really enjoyed it.
I still
Right.
feel like it went on pretty long, even in animation,
Yeah.
but it was entertaining enough that I didn't mind.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
It was
I
still
agree.
long, but it was entertaining enough that I'm like, whatever. It's just fun. But the live action part, it was like, it dragged.
They took too long to explain why coyotes howl at the moon.
Oh my gosh!
Yes.
I was because I thought it was over, and I was like, why the what?
So
It could have straight up
Sorry, I
just
wasted
been
my
like,
S there a
well,
second ago.
gather around the campfire, kids. Let me tell you the tale of Pecos Bill. And that would have gotten the exact same thing across.
I agree. The live action was too long, but I really liked the story of Pecos Bill. I didn't.
Oh, yeah.
We've all heard. Well, I say we've all. Knew that there was the Pecos Bill segment, but I also have done a lot of research into the history of Disney. So, Pecos Bill is all about the story of why coyotes howl at the moon, and it is because of Pecos Bill. And so we open with, I don't remember what the song is called, but it's like Blue Moon on the Desert or something like that. And it was a nice song. And it's all about this boy named Pecos Bill who was one of like 17 children or something, and he falls out of the back of the wagon and none of his family notices.
Yeah,
Tragic.
the point being, there were so many kids, the parents didn't notice that one of the children
No.
was missing.
Little Billy, and he ended up being adopted by this family of coyotes and was raised by coyotes, and
Like
he
you
was
he
the
was
best casually. He was the best of them.
he was the Western Mowgli.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I'm so sorry about if you heard a bump. I just destroyed myself on this desk. That just got me distracted.
The name.
And he's raised by coyotes and is the best of the coyotes. He's the fastest, the meanest, the toughest. And he ends up meeting his horse, Widowmaker, who is a young fowl and is being tormented by buzzards because he's half dead in the desert.
Like Overwatch
And-
playing ears went, whoa, what up?
Yeah, I know.
There's a character in Overwatch named Widowmaker. That's their reference, is what they're talking about. You're welcome. And Widowmaker and Pecos Bill become the rootinest, tootinest partner of. Somehow he ends up being a gunslinging cowboy that isn't a coyote anymore and knows how to be a cowboy. But
When did that develop?
whatever.
The explanation was like, oh, he figured he might as well. The only profession he could make these skills work with was that. And I'm like, that explains nothing, but I respect that you're like, it doesn't matter, moving on.
But okay.
It's not
And
important for the
then-
story, just accept it.
it starts to delve into all of the many wonders that Pecos Bill has
I
performed.
love that he wrangled a tornado.
It felt like a Western Hercules.
It did!
Okay,
Or like it reminded me of Maui when Maui was like talking about all the things that he
Yeah.
did.
I agree. The song is the most catchy song ever. It's always stuck in my head. The yippee-ki-yay, ki-yay, yippee-ki-yo. He's the west of the Alamo.
The thing that I remember the
So
most
good.
about that song was whenever he was in the middle of the desert and it was super hot and he was dying and that bird was going water or something.
Oh, yeah.
It's drilled into my brain. Just the water.
So, to name a few of his great deeds, he dug the Rio Grande, which is when he was in need of water. He went to the rainy state of California and brought it to Texas, which is what created the Gulf of Mexico. He shot out all the stars in the sky except one, which is why Texas is the Lone Star
That
State.
was so deep.
Yep.
I loved that one. He lassoed a tornado and rode it across the plain,
Mm-hmm.
and then used the lightning to light a cigarette that he rolled himself with his tongue, which was kind of weird.
Yeah.
Fun random fact.
Cat is driving me crazy.
Thank you, Madeline.
Fun fact: the cat is driving her crazy.
Anyways,
Wow.
so that scene where he lit the cigarette was actually like kind of a problem. Like it was edited out of some of the future releases of that short.
Is it because of the cigarette?
All of our listeners, I want you to say hey to my wife Madeline and my cat Milo. He's joined us in the studio today.
And
Milo,
promises
say
he
hey to our
won't be a problem.
listeners.
He is a liar.
Milo, say hey to our listeners.
Is Milo our
No.
new
After
intern?
making me out, hold him tight, Abby.
No, that's Patty.
No,
But that
I
was.
was gonna shake his treats,
Oh.
and Abby would have been holding him, so he would have gotten mad.
Maddie, you want to say hey to the podcast?
Hey.
Hey, cool. That's my wife. She's going to be on an episode someday when I can get her to actually watch a movie with me. But the cigarette
Just bad
scene
mouthing his
actually-
wife to the listener.
It's fine. She loves me. I love her. It's whatever. That scene was edited out of many of the re-releases
Is it because of the cigarette?
because of I guess just because it's tobacco use in general, but because of the cigarette, they highly edited that. So
Weird.
maybe they just edited out the part where he used the lightning to light it and roll it.
Can you let us do our podcast now?
We're so close to the end, and it's just devolving into madness.
I'm sorry, you guys. My wife is being hysterical right now.
Are we gonna talk about the racism road? now?
Yeah. So one of the other many wonders that he performs is he paints the painted mountains, and this is our real racism road right
Oh
here. is
gosh, yeah.
He, what is it? He scares the
The
engine so bad
painted hills. Oh my
that the paint
God.
flies
Scares
off
the
of them, and
paint
that's
off
how
of
the
them.
mountains got painted.
I wasn't sure if he was talking about like war paint specifically, if that's what they
I don't
were
know.
alluding to.
Either
or
way,
if
the
they're, like-
representation, I'm pretty positive they called them engines.
They,
the fact that they
called
just
them
referred to
engines
the
at one
paint.
point.
Coming off of them and painting the mountains, it's just all bad.
It was all.
I love Pecos Bill. I loved this short.
This dragged
that
down
part-
a bit.
That part was just not okay.
Yeah.
When me and Abby throughout the whole movie, we were like, I guess, because on Disney Plus, they have the warnings at the
warning.
beginnings about or bad representations of
And
stereotypes.
we just every time we try to pick out what it is.
And so we were
Yeah,
trying to figure out what it
we,
was.
we figured it was just the one in Johnny Appleseed. We were like,
Yeah.
oh, I guess so.
Yeah.
And then the second they said that line, me and Abby both go, oh.
We literally just said, ah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was
no,
kind of it. We were
yeah.
just like, okay.
Yeah, that's how Angela and I were. We saw the Johnny Appleseed, and we're like, oh, there it is. And then we got here, and we were like, nope, there it is.
Yes. That
Peter
does
Pan
happen.
is going to be fun.
Oh, Peter Pan will be an interesting episode. So other than that,
I already
very
know who I'll
unfortunate.
be cast
Haha. Other than the very unfortunate turn down racism road there for a second, Pecos Bill's been great. After he does all his cowboy stuff, he meets this cowgirl riding a giant catfish because
because why not?
and her name is Slewfoot Sue, and they fall in love. and they get married. But on their wedding day, when she's walking down the aisle, somehow she has one of those things that goes around your waist.
They called it something.
I don't remember what it's called, but it makes your
Petticoat?
butt look bigger.
Petticoat.
No, it's
Is
not a
that it?
petticoat.
This
I don't,
may have been a petticoat.
I don't know what it is, but it's
I
one of those things that makes your butt look bigger. It's what the stepsisters wore in
It's
Cinderella.
the thing
Yeah.
that burned into my
Like-
core memory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently it was spring loaded.
And it was spring loaded because she like tripped or something. I don't even really remember what happened, but she ended up bouncing on her butt.
So what happened?
And she-
I will actually go ahead and fill in because I
Go
have
for
things
it,
to
Adam.
say. Is the horse who did not like her?
That's
Bill,
right.
Yeah.
Widowmaker was jealous.
He was like,
Widowmaker made her
before our
win.
wedding, you can take a ride on old Widowmaker, and Widowmaker kicked her off. After
That's
she
what it
she
was.
fought for a bit, but after
Oh,
he
yeah,
kicked
she
her
held on
off,
for a little
landed
while.
on her butt and started bouncing.
And
she
kept getting
starts bouncing
higher.
because of the spring-loaded
higher.
butt thingy, and
Butt thingy.
every bounce she goes higher, and eventually she bounces so high that she lands on the moon.
I find
And
it
Pecos
funny.
Bill tried so hard to lasso her and to get her back down, but just as he was about to lasso her, Widowmaker stepped on the very end of the rope, so it barely missed her.
That horse.
Also, he only tried once. Let's be real.
Well, but after that bounce, she was
People
too
were
high,
not
I
trying.
think.
They were just
Oh,
watching.
she comes back down,
Up
doesn't
and
she?
down.
Yeah,
You're right. She does come back down. Dang, Pecos. He didn't want to marry her that bad, obviously.
I have problems.
And she
with
ends
that.
up
I
on
was
the moon.
expecting because I knew based on. Sorry, go ahead. I'll let you finish, then I'll keep going.
She ends up on the moon, and so Pecos Bill wanders out into the desert, strips himself of all his clothes and all of his material possessions,
Back
and
to the coyote life.
begins to be a coyote again, and starts howling at the moon out of sadness, and then all the other coyotes join in.
Maybe he's our pouty princess.
Oh.
It's not a bad idea, actually.
Yes, Pecos
A
Bill,
double
Pouty
pouty
Princess.
princess.
That
But based
or
on
Widowmaker.
my limited memory of this,
So much pout.
and basically how everything goes, I was expecting her to be a real piece of work and just be like, yeah, no, she does. And I'm like, she was fine. She did nothing
She was-
wrong,
she was
and
a
the
sweetheart.
horse was trying to kill her. And then Pecos Bill tried once and went, well, I didn't succeed on the first try. I'm a failure, which is relatable, but
But also, when you're soon to be
yeah, I
wife,
feel like when it's like
Going
you're
into
love, the
orbit.
person that you are going to go howl at the moon at for the rest of your life, you need to try at least more than once.
Yeah. But that is Pecos Bill, and that is the story of why coyotes howl at the moon.
The burning question
And-
we're all wondering.
That is Melody Time. That is the end of the film, and that's a pretty good film. I enjoyed it.
Honestly,
I thought it was
pretty good.
I really enjoyed this film. This was very, very fun.
So, I want to get into some of our favorites and least favorites. So, let's start off with our favorite character in the movie. I believe, Adam, I first had you start our opening first impressions. So, go for it.
I think my favorite's probably Pecos Bill. He's just,
Sweet.
it's just like watching him do all the essentially Western mythology is
Right, it's
cowboy
like
mythology
Cowboy
is
Hercules.
fun. It's real fun. I like it.
I love it.
I really like that kind of stuff.
And then I think I had Abby go next. So, Abby.
The panicked look on her face. She forgot to be thinking about it.
Ooh,
Hey, at
it's
least you were paying
honestly-
attention.
I know. I
Yeah.
had a point. To actually pay attention this time. I think I'm just gonna stick with my initial. Probably Johnny Appleseed. He was solid.
Andrew?
Oh gosh, it's tough. It's between Little Toot and Pecos Bill for me. And it's so tough. And Johnny Appleseed was up there. He was very close, but those two just were the top for me. But that's so tough because Little Toot is cute and adorable, and is just a little scamp, but ends up being a hero, which is awesome. And Pecos Bill is just ridiculous, and it's so much fun, and I love cowboys. So it's a really tough choice. Oh gosh, I think I forgot how much I loved Pecos Bill. Going into this recording, I was like, "Yeah, no, Little Toot's the way to go. He's the one that I'm. This is gonna be my favorite for sure." And then we started talking about Pecos Bill, and I forgot about it. I'm just stalling. Sorry, I'm gonna go Pecos Bill.
There you go.
Pecos Bill. Little Toot was such a close second, though.
He is so cute.
And
I have to agree with our dear sister
I
Abby.
thought that's how this was
think-
gonna fall.
I should
I
have
think
picked
Johnny
Little
Appleseed is
Toot.
my favorite.
I should have picked Little Toot.
You can change your answer.
I
Little Toot.
love
Why did you
Pecos
wait?
Bill, and I
Why should you have
love
picked Little
Little
Toot?
So he gets some love.
Oh,
He needs to be in here. He deserves to be one of our
We're here
favorites.
so we can all
But-
do different stuff. I'll do the
It doesn't matter, guys.
Pioneer Angel.
No, it's fine. I think Johnny Appleseed is such a wholesome and charming character,
Yeah.
and I wish he had more. I wish he had representation rather than just this one short, because he is such a cool person to
Yes,
be an
he
actual
is
Disney character that
represent-
nobody knows about. Like,
I guess he kind of has reputation through the legend.
well, yeah, but I just love it. Like, I thought it was a really good short.
Yeah, I think
So-
he's
or
another
a
one of
really
those
good character.
public domain characters that Disney got in
Probably
early
so.
and was able to do their interpretation of. But it's fantastic. It's a shame that it's not a more well-known and recognizable like Disney short.
Yeah, he's just such a wholesome character.
He really is.
One reason I love him so much is because I was genuinely shocked with how much they were mentioning like faith in God and stuff like that, which is not a really huge thing for Disney. I thought
Not a
at least.
thing really at all.
I just liked it.
Let's do favorite and least favorite segments. Adam.
All right. Favorite segment is very tough for me. Instinct says Pecos Bill, but I think it's dragged down by the live action segments. I think I'm gonna go with Johnny Appleseed as my
Solid.
favorite. It's either that or the winter. I actually really enjoyed the winter. And there's another one in there that I
Really,
know.
that honestly shocks me.
There's another one in there that I know I liked and I cannot remember for my life, so it must not have been that good.
Little Toot.
That's the one.
You already forgot?
Apparently.
How could you?
That's a good question. I'm about to get
The
crucified.
panic in your voice.
My least favorite is The Flight of the Bumblebee. I don't think it's the worst. I just think it had some of the coolest potential that it didn't deliver on.
Also, it and Trees were both like, they weren't stories.
Yeah.
I'm going to go next because I'm in, per usual, polar opposite of Adam. My favorite was Bumble Boogie, and my least favorite was Once Upon a Wintertime. So,
Once
Wow.
upon a winter time, we got below the trees.
I thought the trees were beautiful. I don't know
talk
what
to
it
me.
was about
Don't
her,
talk
but
to me.
the Jenny character drove me crazy. Like, you are so needy, girl. He is trying to show off and be cool and fun, and you're just being all prissy. I'm sorry.
I preferred her over the female rabbit who was essentially just,
A rabbit with lips.
but uglier.
Yeah. But I love Bumble Boogie. I cannot make that known enough. Bumble Boogie and Little Toot were my two favorites, and I only picked Bumble Boogie because I task myself as Little Toot, and I don't want to
Show that bias.
Yeah, but I love them equally. They're both so wonderful. Abby, go ahead.
My favorite was also Johnny Appleseed. It was a story. Like, it was a story that I was in it, like, it sucked me in the entire time, and it was beautiful and just very wholesome. And my least favorite is also the winter one. I did not like it
Yeah.
that much.
Heck yeah.
Changing my answer.
There's a lot of variety on this one. I
Yeah, no,
like
I
it.
actually-
It's
I
not all
actually
the
enjoyed
same.
this.
This one was the best. This one was the
Yeah,
worst.
there was
I
no
like it.
clear winner. It actually accounts for taste.
Yeah, no, it's really cool. So my favorite was Little Toot, followed very closely by Pecos. I like the character of Pecos Bill better, but they're both just so
Little
close
Toot's a great
on
story.
everything. Little Toot
It
is
was
just
so
cute
good.
and fun. It just recaptured my joy from Pedro the Plane, and I just was living for it. And my least favorite was the trees.
That's
It was very pretty. The animation was beautiful. The song was beautiful. It's just with everything else being cute and fun and having like some story or whatever, this one really slowed the pacing of it down. The pacing is still not
it did
bad
stand
at all.
out a lot from the others.
We're too
stood out
ADHD.
I am way too ADHD. So this one, I was just like,
beautiful
all
animation
right.
and music, but if there's not a good story, animation and music on its own aren't going to be enough to draw us in all the time as ADHD people. And we talked about that a lot in Fantasia, so that's fair.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so that one was just my least favorite. Not that it was bad. I don't think any of these were necessarily bad at all. It just it was my least favorite because I lost interest at that point for a while.
Oh, I was gonna say I kind of want to change my answer to the Blame It on the Samba as my least favorite.
It wasn't my least
But
favorite.
I'm
It
not-
just
I
gave me
don't
the biggest
think it
scare.
is, actually.
Yeah,
It was just kind of middle ground.
It was just
We,
kind
none
of
of us
there.
could enjoy it because we were just terrified watching it the
The
entire time.
last favorites that I want us to name is our favorite song.
Oh gosh, man.
Am I still first?
If you got an answer, go for it.
Favorite
Adam.
song is the Apples, like the duet between Johnny Appleseed and the Angel. Because again, like I mentioned,
so good.
the beginning of it is kind of forgettable. It's like it's fine, your voice is fine. Just that harmony blows it out of the water.
I don't even remember the harmony. I need to go back and watch
Yes,
that.
watch
I
it.
do remember
It's
it
so
being
good.
beautiful.
It was so good. Abby?
Mine is Little Toot. Because you can't go wrong with the Andrew Sisters. They did so good. And then I like how, like, as the story
With his little
progresses,
toot-toots, it was so
the
cute.
song changes with it. So,
Yeah.
like, it's like, Little Toot, why can't you do right? And, like, it
And then
sounds
in the
all
storm is
sad.
little Toot to go with like all the
It was, I just think,
big waves.
it was
Oh,
great.
so good. Andrew?
Little Toot, for sure. It was so great. Like again, like the Andrew Sisters are fantastic. They're so talented.
They're so good.
So
They're
good.
so good.
Like Abby said, you can't go wrong with the Andrews sisters. They were great. Also, you know, I share a name,
Yeah.
so biased. But like, it was just such a cute little story, and it went so perfectly with the short. You know, it was just perfect. Like I want to gush and say more. I just can't think of more words to say about it.
Describe the
But it was
best
just
that it is.
wonderful. It made me so happy. Also, I loved
My
his
favorite-
little hiding, almost looked like a doghouse.
Whoa,
He would go and
yeah,
hide
it
in.
was-
It was so cute.
It was almost like a neighborhood because there was a cop going around.
Yeah,
and there was,
yeah.
Oh yeah, he hid from the cops. That's how you know it's Disney Loves Crime.
Disney loves crime.
And then when the cop wasn't looking, boom! There goes the city block.
Uh-huh. My favorite song still stands as the song Pecos Bill because that yippee-ki-yay, ki-yay,
That-
it's just stuck in my head all the time.
Like most of the music in this film was great, so it's hard to pick a favorite.
My favorite was almost like the one I keep mentioning, the one that Johnny sang at the beginning of that one. But I was
Yeah.
like, I need to say.
I mean, that was good. Like so much of the music was all the music was so good in this. Even
It was really good.
Even no matter which segment we picked was our least favorite segment, the music in it
The
was
music
still
was
good.
Yeah.
You know, you can't
I
say
agree.
the music was not good in any of this. I think the most forgettable song was the very first song, Melody Time. And that's because it was so short.
that was
just
still
introed
good.
the whole thing, and it was still great. So that just goes to
Yeah.
show how much Disney
Short,
stepped up
sweet,
for
and
this
to the point.
Well,
package film.
Let's go ahead and give our final thoughts and our ranking on Melody Time. Adam, you've been starting us off the whole episode, so why don't you go ahead?
All right. So I have a feeling I'm going to be ranking quite different than everybody else. I really enjoyed this movie. Talking about it, I enjoyed it more. I do think
it doesn't get as high as some other things that we've watched. It's not like it's a lot of it's good. A lot of it is good. I think very few parts of this actually rise to great.
Yeah, it's not like Dumbo.
And I think a lot of my love for this is biased because the past few have been not good. And so
I think
I'm
a
trying.
majority of our affection for it is the fact that we're so relieved
Exactly.
that it's not how it was in the past.
It's good for a package film.
But it's no
yeah.
classic like Cinderella, Peter Pan,
Exactly.
Robin Hood, Lady
Overall,
and the
but
Tramp. It's not a
like,
classic movie.
One, for giving me just a reprieve from everything, and also just because I did
you've
have
had a
fun
hard
with
time
it.
with these.
I did have fun with it. I'm giving it a 6 out of 10.
Okay.
Ooh.
Okay. Abby?
I really enjoyed it. This is probably my favorite package film so far. I'm gonna give it. But I also want to give it. I don't want to rank it too high because I do want to think about the fact that this could also be because, it's just like, oh, it's so much better than the others were, so I love it so much. But I also want to think of it critically, like how we're supposed to be reviewing it, and, think of, both the good and the bad about it, and not just how relieved I am. But I'm going to give it a 7.
Wow.
Because I genuinely, stories alone, like a few of the shorts, I just loved. Like, not just because it was better than the previous ones, I just liked it a lot, so.
Wow. Andrew?
Yeah. Like what they were saying, I had actually already knew what I was scoring this going into it. Like, I've had like a week to think about it.
I did too, but now I'm questioning myself.
I took that into account. I was like, this was still a package film, so I'm not going to rank it super like as high as I would, some other movies. But this is still the best package film we've had. This is the most fun I've had with a package film. Most fun I've had in a long time on this podcast. And it was still, like, overall, the quality of it definitely went up. Disney was definitely stepping their game back up after struggling through World War II and everything. And so, because of that, I'm giving it a 6.5.
6.5. There you
I
go.
really, really enjoyed this film.
I was initially going to give this movie a 5. That was what I had been planning on for quite a
Same.
while. But in talking to you guys, and with y'all just now giving your rankings, I think I misinterpreted it myself. Like, I think I was aiming lower than I should have just because it's a package film.
Mm.
Because I was like, well, I don't want to give it a 6 or a 7 because it's like, we're not watching the big classic Disney movies that we talk about. But I still really enjoyed this movie, and talking with you guys about it has just made me smile this whole time we've been recording. And so I think I have to give it...
Faces.
Whatever. I think I have to give it a 6 now. I think I have to bump it up a point. So that is 2 6s, a 6.5, and a 7, which, quick mental math, Aaron, is 25 and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. 25 and a half. That's one of our higher rankings so far.
Because while, yes, it is still a package film, and while we still have to think critically on it, it did make us very happy in the moment. And that's kind of what matters.
Absolutely.
Melody Time is our second highest ranked movie so far.
And
Beating... the only one it's not beating is Dumbo.
Dumbo.
Y'all, Cinderella is about to...
I hold to it because even at the very the more I think about it, the more I'm like, these rankings are very much have to do with when we watch them too. Because I believe if we watched this at the same time, like before Saludos Amigos, it would have been a lot lower.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
But
probably.
But I mean, that's just a part of any kind of like media that you consume.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of your enjoyment has to do with,
When
the
you
situation,
watch it.
when you watch it, where you watch it, who you watch it with.
And
And that's
also-
why
Yeah,
I'm
it's
not
always
upset about it.
it's always different every time.
What's going on in your life when you're watching it? I mean,
Right.
the stage of life you're in can really change how you perceive
Mm-hmm.
film and media in general.
And you also got to
Um,
think, once we start getting to like Disney's big hits, like the Renaissance era and everything, We're gonna be
We're gonna have
ranking
some
everything
10s in there.
8s, 9s, 10s, so the scores are gonna be way up. So this
But
is
we
still
also
pretty appropriate.
that is going to be getting into a lot of when we grew up. So there's also nostalgia
Oh yeah.
placed into a lot of the Renaissance. So
And
it's,
there was no nostalgia in this one, so this was just pure,
I mean,
enjoyment.
we as I said this, we never owned any of the package films. None of us had ever seen Melody Time a single time. So that's I'm quite pleased that it turned out this way.
I had only ever seen 2 package films before doing this podcast, which was Fun and Fancy Free as a child when there was still Blockbuster around, because Adam and I rented it like twice from there.
Blockbuster.
And then Ichabod and Mr. Toad I watched like around Halloween last year, because I was like, oh yeah, I've never seen
and
Disney's...
you'd seen the Three Caballeros in college at one point, you said.
That's right, yeah, I saw it. Yeah, because I found it on like Facebook, the full film, and I was like, okay, and watched it. I don't know if I ever actually finished it or not, but I at least watched a good bit of it, and I'm like, this is not what I was expecting.
Well, thanks everybody for following along so far with us. We have one more package film.
Oh
So
my
if you
gosh,
could
we're
follow
almost
along-
done.
Did you
We're
not
almost
realize?
done.
you got
Adam
it
has
sinking
had
in.
a hard time with these package
Oh,
films.
they're so
I'm
bad.
sorry. Thank you guys for doing this with me, my wonderful siblings.
Do we have anything to read off?
I'm going to get to all of that in just a
Okay,
minute.
ignore
First, I
me.
want to say, if we have any listeners that have been watching the movies along with us, the next movie we're watching is The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad,
I am very excited.
which is the last package film. So tune in.
We're ending
for that.
it good. We're
Willows
ending
and
it
the
with a
Legend
bang.
of Sleepy Hollow.
If you want to support us and help us in any way, the best way you can support
Send
us
us money.
is to
I mean,
rate us on whatever
Oh my gosh.
you're listening to your podcast on.
sorry.
We're ignoring Andrew.
And if you happen to be listening on Apple Podcasts or iTunes or anything that has to do with Apple, you can leave a written review, and we would so greatly appreciate written reviews, because that is how people find us. Rating us is how people find us. That's what helps with the algorithms and such. So please leave us a review. If you want to, we'll even read your review on the air. I would love to hear feedback from y'all, questions, whatever. We don't have any reviews to read today, but please feel free to send them to us. And then we also, if you just want to get in contact with us, we have an email address. That email address is distractedqoc@gmail.com. QOC as in Quartet of Chaos, and that is all lowercase, no spaces. Please, if you want to reach out to us for anything, email us. You can ask us questions, tell us your opinions on movies, ask us about a TV show. I don't really care. Just send us emails. We'll read them at the end of the podcast. We'd love to hear from you. And we do have an email to read today, actually. Our dear friend of the podcast, Amanda, has reached back out to us once again. She is our very own
Hey!
Disney Parks encyclopedia. She's got all the knowledge on the parks. And she reached back out to us after Fun and Fancy Free, so I'm going to read that. The title of her email is, What in the Jeff Dunham Knockoff? So just the title alone, I'm content. So thanks, Amanda.
Woo!
She says,
I'm good.
Hello, Distracted. Yep, it's me again. So I've got to make a quick apology to Adam that he gets information twice. I really should just email you all and save Adam the headache of reading me talk twice.
Don't you dare.
She said, okay, first, The Three Caballeros. It's been a minute, but I think a reason the movie really resonates is because my dad's side of the family is Mexican. But I didn't grow up with a, in air quotes, Mexican background, if that makes sense. Learning about our family trees and things in school, I really wanted to know more about the culture, and for me, the movie allowed me to see and experience that side for a brief moment. I've always been a big fan of Latin culture and music as well, so for me, the movie just hits home in a melancholy, nostalgic way. I wanted to just be more Mexican than I am, and my mom and I would get into arguments about that when I was younger. But alas, the genetic tests tell me I'm only about 11% Hispanic. So I'm glad you told us that, Amanda, because that makes sense. Like we said in that episode, every Disney movie is someone's favorite for some reason, and we knew Three Caballeros couldn't be someone's favorite because of the quality. So it makes sense that it's because of family history.
I would like to remind Amanda we love you.
Okay,
Oh,
she said,
wow.
let's talk about Make Mine music for a sec. I'm right there with you on all points. It's an uncomfortable situation to see these stereotypes, especially since I'm a curvier person. But there were some great parts in a few of the shorts. Okay, so I didn't realize about the Martins and the Coys before listening, and so of course I hopped on YouTube and watched it. What is hilarious to me is that I've seen a very similar short, but it was done by Looney Tunes. That is correct, because I didn't mention this, Amanda, but Martins and the Coys were based on an old poem called, I think, The Martins and the McCoys, or something like that. Or the Hamiltons and the McCoys, something. But it is based on an old story.
Is it like the Hatfields and the McCoys?
That one.
That's what... I think that was like an actual feud in like Western times or something. I don't know for sure. I'm not an expert, but
it makes sense that
so
Looney Tunes
there were a couple versions of the story,
too.
and Looney Tunes was one of them. I did read that.
Gotcha.
But she said, where did I leave off? I'm not sure if you know, but several animators that worked for Warner Brothers originally worked for Disney. I did know that, but left because they didn't like the way he treated them. Did not know that part.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
We're going to talk about this near the Renaissance, but there are a lot of famous animators that started in Disney and left and did their own thing. The people that started DreamWorks were originally Disney animators.
I think the people that
Tim
did
Burton
Anastasia
started.
did that too, didn't they?
The Don Bluth film industry,
Yes,
which is
yes.
Land Before Time, Anastasia.
Oh, that's right. I forgot they did Land
An
Before Time.
American Tale, Fern Gully, Thumbelina.
Oh,
all
yeah,
those were Don Bluth.
yeah.
He was a Disney animator in the
They
Dark
were really
Ages, I believe.
Yeah, they were starting
Maybe
to take
before that.
over before the Disney Renaissance really kicked in.
Yeah, Tim Burton was a Disney animator and then ended up going to do his own thing with Night Before Christmas and all that.
Well, they brought him back for Nightmare.
He came back, but for a while he did have his own studio.
Yeah.
But so that was kind of a regular thing.
So it sounds like Disney was not the greatest.
Well, it's because it's not that
boss.
it's not that Walt Disney was a
more
bad
of the
boss. I mean, Walt
corporation.
wasn't the only. Walt was the top man, but you have all those corporate levels in there that weren't.
I mean,
great.
like Disney as a whole.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
The greatest to
whole
work
has
for.
problems.
It's not always. I mean,
Which I
they've
totally
been
get
bankrupt
that.
so many times that I mean, it's not always easy being a Disney animator. It's not always gonna. It wasn't always. It is now. It wasn't always good cash, you know.
Yeah.
I knew that there were some Warner Brothers animators that were in Disney, but I didn't know why they left. But she said, that being said, the Bugs Bunny short, Hillbilly Hair, reminds me of the Martins and the Coys. Those names are referenced in it. The beard colors are the same. Bugs dresses like a female, and they all square dance. The Bugs Bunny short came out in 1950, and if I had to bet money, I'd say that Warner Brothers animators were making fun of the Disney short. The Bugs one is better in my opinion.
I mean, it's Bugs Bunny, of course.
Of course
even
it's
better.
better.
Of course.
I totally agree with that.
And of course Bugs dresses like a woman. The Bugs one is better in my opinion, and honestly neither offends me, but I could see why some would take offense. Yeah. She says, the Blue Bayou is a real restaurant in Disneyland right inside the Pirates ride. And I've attached a picture of my family and I eating there in 2000. That was my first ever visit to a Disney park, and the joy I have in that photo hasn't stopped. And she did send a picture, and it's so cute, Amanda. Your family looks like they're having so much fun.
I'll ask to see it later.
And I'll have... Yeah,
That's
I'll send
so
you guys the
cute.
picture. It's a cute picture.
Oh, thank you for that, Amanda.
Okay. She says, now on to fun and fancy free.
Oof.
Good Lord, where to begin?
Justification, vindication.
She said, I thought it was a mini Pinocchio reunion for a sec, but then that aggressive cat wasn't Figaro, so I was like, nope, in all caps. Never mind. I hope some of my opinions match up here with yours. I felt this movie was entirely too long. I like Jiminy, but the intro needed to be half the length. Bongo was cute, but really gave me Dumbo and Bambi vibes, and again, entirely too long. But the biggest issue was the ventriloquist party. So he's talking to them. So he's talking for them at some points and then not having to talk for them in other parts. Why is that little girl just over there with him and two dummies? I mean, I'm not trying to put creepy vibes on this, but like...
But no,
like,
it's
like
creepy
creepy
vibes.
vibes.
It's her birthday
Creepy
party. He's the
vibes.
only one there. What is that?
Amanda,
I'm
you
good.
need to join us
Oh, she
for
will.
a recording session.
She will, trust
You
me.
would do wonderful.
She said, also, I think that could have just been left out altogether and saved us all some questionable time. He could have just
Yes.
narrated and we wouldn't have to go back and forth between reality and fantasy. It sounds like you didn't listen to our episode yet before you sent this, because this is everything we said.
Yeah,
So-
yeah.
And if you did, then
To
cool,
a
you're
Yeah, no,
disagreeing,
she
so.
said at the beginning, like, I hope my views line up with
Oh,
yours.
yeah, she said, I hope some of my opinions match up here with yours. Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally all of them.
Yeah.
he could have narrated and we wouldn't have to go back and forth between reality and fantasy. Donald went a little insane there at the beginning, and I found it a tiny bit creepy, but I've also never starved before, so...
Fair.
I did like... She said, I did like how the giant lifts up the roof, and then we see that in A Christmas Carol, but all in the entire movie... is just too long, and I got a bit bored. Sorry, I have eye problems. I will say the ending where the giant lifts up the brown derby hat and wears it off screen was a great nod to the restaurant.
Okay, are you?
So there's a restaurant.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, are you sure she
There's a
didn't
restaurant
just
called the
listen to
Brown
thing?
Derby that I did not realize that. But she talks about that in a second. She said, I've eaten there, and let me tell you, that is probably one of the greatest meals I've ever had in my entire life. One of the most expensive as well, but I also had a 3-course meal and drinks. She said, if you're
Wow.
ever in Hollywood Studios and have the time, please eat there. Or call me and I'll fly down to eat there with you. The history of the restaurant is very cool, and I believe the Cobb salad was invented there. Check my
Really?
facts, but I know that salad has a history with the Derby. I highly recommend. Anyways, thanks again for reading through this email, and keep up the amazing work. I really hope my thoughts lined up with yours, but I'll find out after the podcast. Ha ha.
Right now.
Amanda. Well, thanks, Amanda. As always, we love hearing from you. I love how energetic you are about this. You're just as excited about it as we are, which is awesome. That's what we want. We are absolutely... We would let you know if we are going to eat at the Brown Derby. If we go to Disney World at all, we're going to make sure you're there. Because
If we go to Disney World, we
That'd
are
be fun.
pointing out every single park representation that we can with anything.
We're gonna know too much.
We still have to play Disney trivia with you, Amanda, and we will. It'll happen someday. Thanks, Amanda. We really appreciate that. I love getting to hear from y'all. I love getting to hear from y'all. Feedback, whether that's, I think y'all could do this, or maybe this segment goes on too long, whatever. Like, we just want to hear from y'all. So I appreciate that Amanda takes the time to write these out for us. And it's just so fun to hear from our listeners and what they think as well. So thanks, Amanda. I can't think of anything else that needs to be mentioned for this episode. So watch Ichabod and Mr. Toad if you're following along with us. Otherwise,
Do your
just
homework.
Wait. Yeah, do your homework. And if you don't watch along with us, then just wait for the next episode to come out. We are way excited to be almost done with the package films, and we are just way excited that we get to keep doing this podcast. I'm
It's
glad
only
people have been
taken
listening.
months.
It has taken months, but you know what? I just love doing this podcast. I'm grateful that you three do this with me and have been following my random whims and excitements. And
Oh yeah.
you know, I was looking the other day at some stats, and we have, as a whole podcast, all of our episodes together, we've exceeded 500 plays.
Hey.
So
Hey.
people are actually listening, and I would have done this with y'all whether or not people listen to us.
Oh,
but
yeah.
to know that we have people listening to our episodes, it's just so exciting.
Mhm.
Well, we know we
It's so
got
exciting.
Hunter, Mom, and Amanda, and Anthony's catching up. So we got a few
Yeah,
fans at least.
We got a crowd, that's for sure. But I'm so pleased that we're still doing this, and I'm ready to keep doing it. I'm ready to get into some mega films. But anyways, this has been the Distracted Quartet of Chaos covering Melody Time. Tune in next time for Ichabod and Mr. Toad, and we will probably have a very energetic recording session for that one because we're going to be celebrating. So
Drinks all
Um,
around.
catch us next time. We hope you don't get too distracted. Try not to get too distracted.
We probably will.
because we always do.
As you get
Um,
distracted forgetting the outro.
Yeah, obviously. And we'll catch you guys later. I can't wait to see y'all again, or see y'all three again, and can't wait to. I'm just gonna
Bye.
say bye.
Hasta la vista.
The Distracted Podcast is inspired by Disorder Every Disney Film, which is a part of the Real Fans for Real Movies Network. However, we are not affiliated with this network. We simply liked the idea. Distracted Quartet of Chaos is not affiliated with the Walt Disney Company, and our opinions should not be associated as such.